my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Ahsoka series, Dave Filoni, and more. As always, my dear Mandalorians, before we dive into it, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post a new video. But without much further ado, and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So we're going to begin with the Ahsoka series. Now we do have a filming date rumor which is really exciting, but let me provide you some context. In yesterday's video we spoke about the new production leak that states that The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to begin filming on September 20th and will wrap up on March 23rd. Bespin Bulletin picked up on this and confirmed it, and on Twitter when asked about the Ahsoka series, they say it's going to start filming next year after The Mandalorian. Bespin Bulletin are about as reliable as it gets with information. Their sources are always spot on, so I would be inclined to believe them. Now this is really interesting because it's exactly in line with other rumors that we've spoken about from other sources, namely that Star Wars Ahsoka is the next series to go into production once The Mandalorian Season 3 wraps up next year. Now this means that we could get the series as soon as 2023. Now some of you might be wondering what you mean as soon as 2023. Well, basically the rest of this year and all of next year are absolutely jam-packed with content, and since Dave Filoni is the showrunner of Star Wars Ahsoka and he also works on The Mandalorian, he won't have his hands free until he's finished with The Mandalorian Season 3. Now in terms of pre-production and writing, we don't know where the show is exactly, but we've already had so much casting news for characters like Ezra Bridger, Grand Admiral Thrawn and Sabine Wren, so we can safely assume the show is currently being written and will slowly make its way into pre-production, with filming expected to start next year. So assuming there are no delays or very little delays, we should expect it sometime in 2023. So while we are yet to have a plot synopsis or any kind of details, we vaguely know that the show is going to pick up after The Mandalorian Chapter 13, which, as I've mentioned in the past, might take place before the Rebels finale. Either way, Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren are heading off to find their friend Ezra, who was launched into hyperspace with Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Star Wars Rebels Season 4 finale. So just to recap, because I know not everyone is familiar with Rebels, Ezra Bridger had a face-off with Grand Admiral Thrawn to free his home planet Lothal, and Ezra uses his special connection to the Force to call for space whales, which are known as the Purgil, for help. Now these creatures had the unique ability to jump into open space. They jumped into hyperspace along with Thrawn's fleet, but we never got to know where. That is until the Ahsoka series reaches Disney+. And let's be honest, this is the one show that Clone Wars, Rebels and Mandalorian fans have been waiting for. Answers to Ezra Bridger's whereabouts and continuing Ahsoka's own personal journey. Now while we don't know much about the plot details for Ahsoka, it's still part of the Mandalorian universe. And we still have 2 chapters of the Mandoverse to be released before Ahsoka, namely the Book of Boba Fett this December and The Mandalorian Season 3 next year, which could provide some more context. Now while it is unlikely that Ahsoka is going to reappear in The Mandalorian, and even more unlikely that she's going to make an appearance in the Book of Boba Fett, it's still a possibility that we have to stay open-minded about, because you never know. Even if Ahsoka herself doesn't appear, Grand Admiral Thrawn could very well make his live-action debut in The Mandalorian Season 3, before making his way into Star Wars Ahsoka. Ultimately, with The Mandalorian storyline, the possibilities are truly spectacular. Now on the subject of Ezra Bridger, which you may have seen in the title of this video, the big question that's been bothering many Star Wars fans ever since Dave Filoni confirmed that Ezra is alive in 2018 is, where did he and Thrawn end up? Well, honestly, we can only speculate because we don't know for sure. There's been a huge range of wild theories that have ranged from Ezra Bridger turning to the dark side in the unknown regions, to other theories that suggest that both he and Thrawn ended up in Chiss space. Now if you're familiar with Timothy Zahn, this ties into material in both his old stuff and his new books, but this undoubtedly is the big picture story that Ahsoka is going to tell. On a separate note, but still very relevant to this conversation and something to keep in mind, is that Ezra Bridger is probably still alive during the sequels. If you think back to that one scene in episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, when Rey hears the voices of the Jedi past, we hear Kanan Jarrus but not Ezra. I remember in late 2019 and early 2020, a lot of Star Wars fans on Reddit caught on to this, and it seems as though it may have been deliberate, but this begs the question, if Ezra was still alive, What was he up to? Some food for thought. So now we're going to dive into some speculation for the show, because that is a big part of what I do here on this channel. And I would say that speculation more generally is arguably the most fun aspect of anticipating upcoming series and projects. So with that in mind, let's talk about possible cameos. As well as the more obvious candidates that we've spoken about, my biggest wish is that we see Anakin as a Force ghost at least once. If you guys remember back in May, there were rumours of Hayden Christensen featuring in more than just Obi-Wan Kenobi. And of all the series, Ahsoka makes the most sense. She still doesn't know that Anakin redeemed himself in the end, and her finding out could be the perfect tie-in for a Luke Skywalker appearance. The son of her former master meeting the former apprentice of Luke's father. As George Lucas would say, it's like poetry, it rhymes. Another cameo we all want to see, if he's still alive at this point, is Captain Rex. This is the one that Rebels and Clone Wars fans have been calling for ever since both shows ended. But then again, if we had it our way, we would have Temuera Morrison reprise every single fan favorite clone. Between Cody, Rex, Wolf, Gregor, and so many others, the poor man would never have a day off. But I digress. Finally, I want to bring up an article which talks about a possible hint by Dave Filoni that could tell us a small plot detail of the Ahsoka series. We shouldn't read too much into it, but it is worth speaking about. A Twitter post from 2019 depicting distinctive artwork may signal an important scene in the upcoming Ahsoka series. This article picked up on it, so let's speak about it. While it's very unlikely to be concept art, Dave Filoni refers to it as a possible future for Ahsoka and Sabine as they look for Ezra. We don't know much about this setting, it could be Ilum or any other ice planet, but it is very clear that they are exploring an ice planet nonetheless. Now, even though this Twitter post has been out for over 2 years, it's only now that fans are catching on to it because it could say something about what's to come. Attached to the post, Dave Filoni says, "Thank you all for sharing your memories of Star Wars Rebels. It was a wonderful show to make, and the entire crew is humbled by your outpouring of love and support with #Rebels Remembered. I tried to think of something to sketch for you all today, but I couldn't come up with something from the past, so I drew a possible future instead. It's always good to check in on old friends, don't you think? No, this is not a new show, just a drawing I did today for you, the greatest fans there are." So as he says, it wasn't anything too substantial, but at the time we didn't know there was going to be an Ahsoka series. And given the fact that this is directly from the creative's mind, this could be something he pursues going forward, or an idea he's always had for where they end up when they start looking for Ezra. It's all very good food for thought, but what do you guys think, and what did you make of everything we spoke about in today's video? If you guys enjoyed it, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and a huge welcome if you are, and also if you're feeling generous and you get any sort of value out of my channel, please consider becoming a patron. You get exclusive videos that are not found here on YouTube, and you also get exclusive access to my Discord server. But otherwise, my dear Mandalorians, this is where we part ways for now. I'll see you in the next video, but otherwise, I'm Megan, also known as Star Wars Meg, and I'm wishing you a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. May the Force be with you, always.